Yeah, that's right. She blinded me with science. Thomas Dolby right here on WUSB in Stony Brook. And we are extremely, there's a great new documentary film out called Science Fair. It is endlessly entertaining. It's one of the funniest films of the year. It's one of the most informative films of the year. It's one of the most inspirational films of the year. And the filmmakers are Christina Costantini, I think I got that right, and Darren Foster. And the adult star of the film is Jericho science teacher, Dr. Serena McCALLA. Dr. McCALLA, are you with us?
I am. Hi.
It's absolutely wonderful to have you on board. I was at the screening of the film where we both met, and an incredible film. And we're going to get into some of the workings of how things played out with your involvement momentarily. But first and foremost, as you are a science teacher right here on Long Island, and an amazing science teacher and dedicated and all those things. I want to talk a little about your programs first. And first, let's talk one big picture thing, which is kind of the pedaling back of science in the U.S. I know your students, you're motivated, you're motivating them, but do you want to talk a little to the importance of science education?
I think I'll talk to the fact that it's easy to dissuade people from the truths science provide, because science is just like many things going on today in our society is always changing. And because of that, I think people are not used to the fact that even scientists can correct themselves in things they previously believed is true. We may find that some of those truths are not as strong or withholding as they were previously. So that may lead to some, ambiguity about what's true and not true. But to be clear, science is the thing that is shaping how we live and how we grow as a people. And we can't ignore the fact that science is accurate most of the time, and it's supported by piles and piles of evidence on a regular basis, and that is one of the most important things that is going on today, even though some people may not look at it, in that same esteem as I hold it in.
Yeah, and many people obviously do hold it in great esteem, and to understand, I think, as you just put it beautifully, that science is is something that changes, because that's what science is. Science is the constant modification of what we know. And and as opposed to what we have no evidence of and we say we know. So, and we're not going to get too, I don't think, political in this discussion tonight, but obviously it's that kind of thinking is out there. And the kind of work you are doing, and many educators obviously are doing around the country, is crucial, and in bringing this great love of science and knowledge, this enthusiasm for it to your students, and you certainly do it. So now, this is Stony Brook University where I am right now.
Amazing.
And
it is. It's a great
it is an
institution.
amazing institution. But just to enable you to throw a thorn in my side here, I did go to Ward Melville High School.
Okay.
And which used to be the top science school, and it's certainly still up there on Long Island. But now you've arrived at Jericho, and what's gone on there? What changed when you arrived at Jericho High School?
I think I really encourage the students to work to their highest degree of excellence, and with encouraging them and supporting that was the only thing I would accept from them, I think our program has flourished and has become one of the best, not only in Long Island, but maybe even in New York and maybe further.
Yeah, and it's been extremely impressive. And, of course, just to point out what we just discussed before we were on the air, you and I, is that I'm calling you at work, and it's it's 7:18 in the p.m. and you're at work at Jericho High School, and you're doing your stuff. You are, and you're not the only dedicated teacher in the world. I want to point out that educators everywhere do a great job, but this level of dedication is like amazing. So let's talk a little about how you get students motivated. A student who first comes into your class, first of all, what exact science classes do you actually teach? Or you just
I
do the
actually am in charge of the science research program, so I want to say that I don't formally teach as much as I used to. I more so sit down with the students and kind of figure out what they love and why. And then after I figure out what they love and why, we actually explore it on a more academic level, where I ask them now to maybe read literature or papers from PhDs in the field, and then we would maybe seek them out for counsel or even placement into their laboratories. And then we continue to create projects that really foster the learning that the students want to know. Not that I want to know, not that, someone else wants to know, but things that they're inherently just interested in. And I think that that's actually one of the reasons why we do really well, is because in my program, the students are not allowed to do something because I told them to do it. They're only allowed to do what they want to do. And that is definitely a game changer in regards to how much work they put in.
So they have to. It has to be something where their interest lies. For them to, the best thing is for them to have something where their interest lies. This way, they can flourish in that area because they're truly curious.
That's right. That's exactly why I think we do well. I think that it's not about me. It's not about their parents. It's not about their hopes of going into whatever school it is that they want to attend. It's about why am I doing science? Why is this interesting to me, and how will I benefit from it, and in turn, hopefully help other people to benefit from whatever it is that I'm learning. So that's one of our big themes here.
Yeah, and you've done a great job with it. It's
Thank you.
So in addition to your school year program, how is it broken up for these kind of programs in the school year? Is it a year program for these kids who are involved in this?
No, my students are usually in my program for 3 years.
Okay.
So they come in 10th grade, and then we work together more like in a classroom setting, and then the next 2 years is basically one-on-one with them and their project.
Ah, okay. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. It's fun for me, too, because I'm always learning something that's outside of my degrees. So it's fun for me.
Have you ever, the answer is probably yes, but have you had them come to, any of them come to you with projects you were completely surprised by?
Not surprised by, because it really is a process that we get them to choose in their topic. So I kind of sort of know where they're headed early on. But I definitely think that some of their ideas are absolutely brilliant. And I'm not surprised anymore that I'm seeing this come from high schoolers. But initially it was like, wow, these kids are really, really spectacular scientists. And people kind of second guess their abilities because they're young. But I think, again, once you get them interested in something that they want to do, sky's the limit.
Right. Okay. So this is a multi-year program with these kids. About how many kids do you take on totally? Would you say on a given year? How many kids do you have in the program?
It really varies. Jericho is open enrollment, so any student that says they want to be in the program can be in the program. We cannot say, no, you don't have a high enough grade level or whatever. If they are interested and they sign up, they're allowed to take the course. So it really fluctuates based upon the student interest. So it varies. I can have as many as 125 one year and then maybe 75 another year.
Okay, that's still very high numbers. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That shows that word is spreading out there. When you do this, well, first of all, has from the film itself, which we'll talk about momentarily, have you been getting more interest in the programs that you do?
Well, my own personal program that I run in the summer, I've been getting a lot of interest in that program since the film. I guess a lot more people know who I am and what I do here at Jericho, because otherwise it's kind of like, contained here. And unless the students are winning big prizes and they're in the Newsday, but most of the time, even if the students are in the Newsday, it would be the students and not myself. So I guess now people are getting to know me because of the film. But overall, the program kind of promotes self here at Jericho. If my students do well, the building knows, because I post a poster and I make sure that they're celebrated, because it's an achievement to win some of these really prestigious competitions. So in the building in and of itself, the kids all know about the program.
Now, in the film, not one of your students, but a student from the South, who's done very, very well in science and science fairs and all these things, doesn't get the same kind of recognition in, let's say, their school setting as your guys apparently are getting. And I think that recognition is like a crucial and beautiful thing.
I agree. I think that if we continue to celebrate the kids and their successes, they'll continue to work. Everybody likes to be rewarded. I mean, look at we're having the Oscars coming, even adults. These are adult films created by adults, directed by adults, produced by adults, and they're excited to win an award, to be named. Well, students and children feel the same way. They want to be recognized for their efforts. So I felt like that was a very important portion of why my program grew also here at Jericho, that I made sure that everyone knew that, these kids were top-notch, doing phenomenal things. That became very important to me here, and I think that it has encouraged the kids to continue to strive for excellence here.
And how has the response been? I mean, obviously you're doing recognition, but how's the response been in the district-wide? Has there been good support for all of this?
Honestly, most of the members of our district have not seen the film yet.
How could that be?
But I know. We're going to show it on January 11th. So that's the first time that a lot of the teachers and students will see the film. But no, we didn't show it until now.
We are talking right here on WUSB Stony Brook to Dr. Serena McCALLA of Jericho High School. We're going to talk about a couple of her extra programs right now that are outside of the regular school year curriculum, and also about the film Science Fair. Dr. McCALLA, talk about your summer program and what exactly it involves and who can be involved in it, because we are talking right now to a Long Island community.
Okay, that's true. I am running a summer research program that's called iResearch Institute. And at the iResearch Institute, we have two phases. You can either attend the first phase, which is basically 2 weeks, and in that program, I train the students on their presentation skills. I train them on, creating a project, coming up with a project idea, formulating a project plan. I train them on presentation techniques, how to write an abstract, how to write a paper. So just the basic scientific methods training that I would give my students at Jericho, kind of condensed in 2 weeks. And then the secondary portion, which is a little bit more selective in its enrollment, we actually help the students to complete actual experimentation, actual projects that they can use at competition. So there's two arms of the summer program.
Okay. And this is like open enrollment for high school students? Anywhere?
Yes. Anyone from grades, rising ninth graders to rising juniors can apply, and then we select the students to join us during the summer.
Okay, and how do people find out? How do parents and students find out about that program? Is there a site for this?
Yes, if they want to go on to iResearchinstitute.com, it gives an overview of the 2-week program versus the 4-week program, and all of the requirements needed to apply. But the application process is not open yet, but they can look at all of the steps that they need, and maybe even start writing on their essays and their applications, just gathering the materials that they need to complete the application process. So that's
iResearchinstitute.com. People can get info on the summer program. When does it run to and from, Doctor?
The 2-week program begins on July 8th, and it concludes on July 19th, and the 4-week program begins on July 8th and concludes on August 2nd.
Oh, okay. So you pre-select the people in the 4-week program, or?
Definitely, because it's intensive. Sure. It's real research, and they have to have recommendations and teacher support, along with we read their transcripts and their writing samples, just to make sure that the students are well prepared before they come in. Because sometimes even last year, some of the students, I think that it's a struggle, if you really don't have a strong handle on your math and science skills, just to walk into a laboratory and, be expected to complete a good project. So we want everyone to have a good time and also learn and possibly collect data for competition. So we have to be a little bit selective with the 4-week, but the 2-week, almost anybody that enrolls in that program will be accepted because it's basically just straight teaching, training, learning how to conduct good research.
Fantastic. And we're going to have that link right on our site for today's show, right at WUSB.FM. So anyone interested, of course it is iResearchInstitute.com, but anyone interested in enrolling their children or finding out more about it can certainly do that at that site. It's not enrollment yet, but you can find out about it. But this way you can get to the link and save it for when it's open and up to go. Wow. So, you just said what a tough program the summer program is, and how selective it is for the 4-week session.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we're going to get to the film, I think, here, but one of the things you say in the film is that you were kind of concerned that you came off really tough.
Yeah.
And by the way, you do come off tough. However, you come off as sensitive and kind and understanding and all those factors dealing with your students. So it's quite a thing. So let's talk about this movie, Science Fair. How did you get involved in this film?
Actually, it was they contacted Jericho because they saw in the newspaper how many times my school appeared in Newsday and ABC and CBS, and they were like, why does the school keep popping up every time, we look up science fair winners? And they reached out to Jericho, and I just believed that they were coming in to observe my training and teaching style to see why we win. I didn't realize that this film would become the big film that it has become, that it won at Sundance and South by Southwest, and I just literally thought it was a training video. And then National Geographic bought the movie, and that changed everything. So the first time I saw the film was at Sundance, and I was shocked.
Yeah, how was that? So you get
that was
you get sent
that
out
was
to
mind
Sundance.
blowing.
Yeah, you're out to Sundance, and you didn't know what you were walking into.
I certainly did not. I literally was nervous because I allowed them to see the ins and outs of my program because I really didn't think it was going to go anywhere past, some teachers, learning about my program. So I was very honest, and sometimes I'm, really strict and assertive with my students, and all of that was on film. So I'm sitting in the audience at Sundance, shaking. Practically flipping out because I had no idea what they were going to show, and thank God they picked and chose pretty good clips of me, and I don't look completely crazy, but it definitely shows my spirit in my room and the fact that I do employ upon my students to be excellent.
Yeah.
I don't want them to work beneath their capabilities. I expect them to be the very best humans they can be and scientists. So I don't settle for less. And sometimes that is portrayed in the film.
Well, you were absolutely, while being as stern as you should be, because you're trying to have the students rise to their best, you are also, helpful throughout and sharing in their visions. And it's your dedication is so outstanding it can't be measured. So anyone who hasn't seen this film should absolutely see it. So when you were being filmed how long was the crew in Jericho or with you?
Almost 2 years, a year and a half.
So that's starting in Jericho and riding right through the Intel Science Fair?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's on Amazon Prime now, the
it
video.
Is. Yeah, I just showed it to somebody the other day on Amazon Prime. So it's they were all around the place. And did you have any idea that that I mean, you must have known that they were filming multiple sources, so to speak, right? Multiple
Yes.
locations. So you had no idea about how it was all going to be broken up when you finally saw it.
No, I had no idea. Again, I thought it was a teaching video.
Yeah, yeah.
And comparing my teaching styles against others and why certain programs are very successful. I didn't even know that there was going to be another component, which people see in the film, about, just the struggles of other students.
Yeah.
I just literally thought this was a teaching video. So, that struck me, and I cried, through the film and laughed through the film. It was definitely not what I expected to see.
Yeah, it's a real success, the film, and I think it brings out something in everyone there. And what's really interesting is that they essentially narrowed it down to 8 or 9 students, right? Totally.
Yeah.
And you yourself brought 9 students to that science fair?
I did.
So you're like 9 plus 9. So it's
yes.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Obviously of the students, but also of your motivational techniques and your teaching techniques and your facilitating for their interests, for the students' interests, and it's really is amazing. And so, how many times now have you personally been to the Intel International Science Fair? Yeah,
I've gone 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I've gone every year since I've come to Jericho.
Wow, that's great. May I ask where did you teach before Jericho?
H. Frank Carey in Franklin Square, New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously you learned some stuff there and you brought it over.
Yeah, we had a very small program there, and I left Franklin Square because I really just wanted to be fully immersed in the research process, and Jericho offered that opportunity to me, so I left to do that, and I'm really happy that I did. I love the students. The administrators are very good to me, and I'm really happy to work with my colleagues. They're very bright people and very motivated, so it's a win-win. The students are second to none, even though I had great students at Carey. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you've you made the right move in the world, and not only for yourself but for the students. Quite the impressive move there. So great thing. So now obviously there's going to be some buzz and some things in your life that are no doubt already happening, relative as consequence of this film. What are you looking to expand your operations? Looking to make something bigger, something, or just
yes. I created the iResearch Foundation, so it's a nonprofit, a 501c3, and the goal is to raise enough funds to open up many iResearch institutes all over the country, because one of the biggest issues of how this even got started was that some of my students said to me, you're always so quick to help other kids, and, like you give so much time to help children. Why don't you help more kids in other places that don't have the access that we do? And it was actually the students that said this, and as a result of that, the students helped me make my website. They did everything. They're wonderful. And they really encouraged me. They really said, we want you to do what you do and show everybody how they can be excellent at science. And with their encouragement is how this all began, and now I hope that it just continues to grow. I want to have iResearch Institute in every state if possible, and actually have as many of them present in New York as possible. My goal this year, hopefully, is to open up 2 locations, and I'm hoping to grow exponentially, as we raise more money for the foundation.
That would be absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So now what are the kids, your kids who were in the film, what was their reaction to the film?
I think my kids really got a understanding how lucky they are, and that they have access to so much when there are others that have access to so little and do a lot with nothing. And I think it really made them thankful, and it showed them that maybe they need to work even harder because they have resources that other people don't have. And that honestly, I think it really brought up that philanthropic spirit where a lot of them were like, okay, how can we help other people? What else can we do? And I love that about my students. They were even asking how can they support the iResearch Foundation so that we can have more students who don't have access, to gain access to science and science training and learning. And I love them. They're amazing young men and young women. So, again, I'm very lucky to work where I work and to come in contact with the students that I come in contact with on a regular basis.
Yeah, and one thing you just brought up is the disparity in the world, obviously, and you do see that when everyone comes together at something like the Intel International Science Fair, and and the stories told in the film. Obviously, I mean, people should just see it, but I mean, you definitely see some amazing achievements based on very little resources, shall we say, and but kids who are curious, kids who are creative, kids who are driven. And it's an exciting thing to see that across the board. And I think that the science fairs are something that should be celebrated and supported even more than they are.
Yes. Even that you brought that up, if I can just say it quickly,
please.
Intel removed its funding from the Intel ISEF. So right now, there is no sponsor after 2019 for the International Science and Engineering Fair. And isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that this institution where 70,000 or more than that, millions of applicants originally that dwindled down to about 1,500 to 3,000 kids that attend each year may go away because Intel pulled their funding and they still don't have a sponsor, and that's so disheartening because shouldn't we be supporting young, bright minds in science right now? And we're not.
Right. Do we have any idea why? I know this was raised also at the screening I went to, but do we have any idea why Intel
it wasn't lucrative for them to do it anymore.
Unbelievable.
They didn't benefit from sponsoring, and it wasn't a lot of money comparatively to what the company is worth. And it saddens me that small amount of money, is gone, and now this whole entire program is at risk for not running. So if you know anybody out there that could afford to sponsor the Intel ISEF and or iResearch Foundation, let's do it.
We'll start a GoFundMe, you and I. And we'll
right.
But that's exactly one of the things that I learned at the screening I went to of the film was that was a tragic thing, and that comes back to our initial discussion about the devaluing of science education. Yeah. In society, and it's for a pittance we are supporting these great leaps and these encouraging these great formative minds, and to have that drop out would be a tragedy. So hopefully somebody steps up.
I hope so. We're even hoping that maybe Intel changes their mind.
I'm hoping so too. Is there a?
I don't know. Anything's possible.
That's right. I think that the more people that write to Intel on this particular issue, it might be a good thing.
Agreed. Yeah. We should probably start a kind of not a petition, but something to get them to understand how important it is to run this program.
Yeah, and I think there probably is something out there. We'll have to do a little research on that, but and get people out there and on it. So on one more quick note, one of the things shown in the film, of course, is your dedication of your hours. As we can prove right now, we're speaking on a Jericho school phone line.
Yeah.
And one of the things in there is that you're coming home late, you're eating the takeout. I thought that was very beautiful. You may not think it's as beautiful as we all thought, but
I was actually saddened by that.
But it was a that kind of dedication. You can't expect everyone to have that, obviously, but there's so many teachers out there that do have the dedication, and teachers are so undervalued in society in general, and often the targets of this, that, and the other thing. We don't want to get into everything, but it's teachers are one of the great resources in society and should be treated as such. And my Rashmi, who I think you met at the screener, you may not remember, but it was she's a teacher, but she teaches Hindi speaking students English.
Huh?
And what the Indian parents do is they always give beautiful gifts to the teachers because teachers are so highly valued in India. And it's something that should be in the U.S. much more, instead of teachers being targets for this, that, and the other thing. They are the lifeblood. They are the source. They are, they're who your kids are with every day, all day long. And
I agree.
And nothing could be more important than that,
I agree.
Dr. Serena McCALLA, Jericho High School, adult star of the film. That didn't come out right.
No.
Star of the film Science Fair. A pleasure to speak with you, and a great film. People can see this film obviously on Amazon Prime streaming. They can also see it on the National Geographic Channel, I do believe, and various other locations. But if you just Google Science Fair movie, you will find it. You will find this the single most, if you're going to watch a movie for the holidays, It's a Wonderful Life is a beautiful thing. I get it.
Yes, it is.
But watch this movie, because this gives you hope in the world that is real and is beyond anything you could expect from regular human beings, because we don't expect a lot, I don't think. And this just shows how much kids can do, how much teachers can do, and how much a society that supports it can do. So Dr. Serena McCALLA, thank you so much for joining us on Finn's Revolution. This interview, as always, will be up on YouTube this next weekend. So you'll be able to check out the Finn's Revolution channel, and also, or just, search on YouTube Dr. Serena McCALLA or Science Fair movie and Finn's Revolution or WUSB, and you'll get there. And it'll be up then. Dr. McCALLA, thanks so much for joining us on Finn's Revolution, and go get some takeout.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay,
Will
bye-bye.
do.